friends, welcome back to my another video. Today we are going to start new video on our social science and you know that after a long time I have made a video on social science and the social science today's chapter will be our epic French Revolution. What is the French Revolution? Firstly, the French Revolution is an revolution which was held in the France in the 70s. Okay, so in the 70s, this revolution was held at. Let me notify up here, right up here. Okay, I will change the size so that it will be easy for you all. Okay, now the French Revolution was teetered on the collapse on the collapse. The French tractor on collapse. The in the late 70s of there was the collapse which was happened in 70s in the France, and for that's why the king and at that time the King Louis ruled as absolute monarch. But the King Louis was blood and treasury dry from endless wars, like aiding America's revolution against Britain and building extra wagon place and the extravagant places on the America and British and the British Empire. Now, the King Louis was rumored to the Queen Mary Antoinette. Rumored the quip. They the quip was the let them eat cake, means fueled rage among the starving masses and bread prices skyrocketed after bad harvest. The population exploded in three states: clergy, clergy first tax, and nobles second, and privileged and everyone else had stayed 98% burdened with taxes. Means they was after the enquip of the Queen Mary let them eat cake. There was full rage among them and full starving masses, and the bread prices and the food pulses prices, rices prices were skyrocketed after the bad harvest. The population was exploded in the three states. They have made it in the three states. First one clergy, nobles, and privileged, and privilege. So they was first tax free, and second one was privilege, and third one was the burden with the taxes. Means there was three states in that France after the bad harvests and explosion. They have made it three states. In first states there was tax free, and in second one was privileged, means they was not giving one of the thing, and there was no tax also, and they were not providing food, and harvest were not there for them of the empire which was owner of the empire of the privilege. They were eating the all and spending and wasting the all harvests and food on their food and taking them and not giving to the democratic people and societies. And in third state there was so many burden with the taxes. In the 98% they were burdened with the taxes. So this was the social society of the France which was happens in and there was separated. There was three each states which was separated after the explosion. Now the spark May in May 99 789 780 78 89, there was a massive crowd stormed the Bastille tyranny, and the guns guns were fired, heads of bikes and cheese were erupted, cause of and it is called as the Bastille Falls. The Bastille Falls are revolutionary attacks of the Bastille, which was the Bastille for the gunpowder they have fighted for the revolutionary attacks. Just seven prisoners freed, but victory ignites France's great fear sweep countryside. Peasants burns and feudal records, national anthem, assembly and abolishes noble privilege at the August 4. That they declares that the rights of man and citizen proclaims men are born free and equal in rights. Women march on Versailles, forces royal family to pass Paris under mob guard. So what this para explains us? This para is about the Bastille Falls, which was the enough where in where the France there was a town named Bastille, and in that town there was a factory of gunpowder, and the gunpowder was too plenty of gunpowder was presented in Bastille, but out of the towns were not having the gunpowder, so that's why the massive crowd storm and the in the prisons of the Bastilles, and the whole economy of the Bastilles get destroyed by the massive crowds, and they was asking the gunpowder in but the the Bastille Empire rejected to them, and after that the prisoners uh, just seven prisoners get freed, but the victory ignites the France. The great fear of the France gets sweeps, and the countrysides be peasant and burn federal records. Now, after that, on the August 4th, they have declared that the man's and citizen proclaims, and the men's are born free and equal in rights. Means the men's are born for the freediness, and they are also equal in rights. Women's they have made on March. They waits Versailles forces royal family to Paris under mob guard. Means they have sent the women's Versailles forces to a royal family to Paris under mob guard. Mob guard means and mob the guard which the place which the royal family that have made it for the women's, and the women's protects the royal family from them to from the enemies. Now, the French Revolution began like this, and Reign Terror was coming comes in that, and the economy and the socialism of the Bastille and the France were very pleasant for some years. After 2 3 years, the French Revolution began again. How the French Revolution began again means after the presentness, they see that the French Revolution was stopped. Because of that, the King Louis started again the French Revolution. Now the second part is, so, after the peasant life, the France were suffering so much in the 18th century. The France got debated for their economy, and the social status of the France were like this. Okay, in 19th century, okay, in 19th century, in 19th century, how was the France? How was the France were daily life for people was very easy. Most of the people from in the France were farmers in the villages, and they grew the wheat, grapes for wine, and life was hard. No machines were there in the France, just hands and animals. Poor ate bread and soap, and rich in cities wore fancy clothes, ate meat. They were enjoying their life where the rich cities were located. Now, the main thing, where were the rich cities were located? Rich cities were located in the France state Bastille, because the Bastille was being a peasants state, and after the storm, they have the Bastille be have been the peasant state, and in the Bastille they, in the eyes of the Louis, the Bastille doesn't comes, because after the after the mass storm in the uh, Bastille, the King Louis doesn't notice the Bastille, that they have leave the Bastille and they forgetted the Bastille. Because of that, the Bastille take an advantage, and fight they fighted and make fights in the King Louis, and they have making their own empire again, and they were the one of the rich cities. And after that, there was a three group of people. First, priest, second, nobles, and third was everyone else, like farmers, workers, and they were they paid all taxes, and they were very poor. First, the I will explain you how the priests. What are the priests? The priests were the church, whom the work in the church, and they were only man, not woman. Okay, and they were having rich lands, and they were not asking for the tax. They were no tax for them, and in nobles, they were the lords. They were having the castles, no tax, hunted deer. They were eating, and there was a whole empire. Means the king of the empires. They are named as then nobles, the lords. Okay, so this was the history of the our French Revolution. After the French Revolution, how was France? Okay, after the revolution, the King Louis, means the big son king, early in 70s, he built a huge Versailles palace like a gold dream, made France top power with big army. King Louis made a and tower and made a huge Versailles. Versailles means they have made an Versailles, which was a golden palace, and like a golden dream. They made it a France army top and powerful army. So after that, Louis king, the king have spent it more wars and spent more money on the fun, and France were the biggest top power country at that time in 70s. After that, the King Louis married Marie Antoinette. France broke the big debts from helping the America for fighting the Britons. Britain. Bad crop made breed too costly. The bad crop were halted, and the breed again had was made it too costly in France. People were hungry, and people were angry at the King Louis. After the enlightenment, small after the enlightenment of the smart men like the Voltaire, Rousseau wrote the books and said that gods kings not gods, people should be free and equal, ideas has to be spread like fire. So in the after that, the end of the century, means the 17 in the 1789, the French Revolution starts. Poor storm jail and cut the king's head. France changes forever. Means the France was a rich land, and but unfair. Kings lived like gods, people like slave. This was the anger which makes the whole whole decade worst, and the whole decade became the massive storm in the France, and they made a big change as simple like hungry, poor plus smart ideas is equals to revolution. Means they make hungry, poor. They use the kings. They use the hungry and poor percent in plus smart ideas with them like making giving them bad crops and bad food fertilization, and they were no shade for them, and they were just making them they were just making them giving them bad crops and making them full, and by their smart ideas, like they were using as a slave them of them, and they were making the revolution again and again. This maps shows map lighting up fade out. Means there was a the after that the narrator has said that the map the sh- the map lighting up shows map lighting up fade out. Means they first shows the map, and then they light the lights up. After the lighting up they get fade out, like they have never seen they they have never showed a map like this. The narrator wanna say in that story, the Walter wanna say in the books of the story. So I hope you understand what was the French Revolution, and was how the France suffered, and how much revolution, massive storms, crowds, and how much poorness and slumness the France have suffered. Yeah, so I hope you understand. Thanks for watching my video. Bye bye.